Okay, we're getting ready to get started, but before we do, please join me in the saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Overton will bring the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, we come to you with thankful hearts. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon us and the many challenges you present for us, giving us opportunities to know that with your love and guidance, all things are possible. Be with us now as we deliberate and make decisions that are the wisest and best for our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, as you see, the mayor's not here tonight, so I'm going to start the meeting, and then we're going to elect a president pro tem to preside over the meeting. But first, I want to make everyone aware that we do have large print agendas somewhere over there. If you're interested in a large print agenda, then I will ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Rick Culver.
Here.
Jeff Watson.
Here.
Mike Overton.
Here.
Colby Fulfer. Mike Lawson.
Here.
Rick Evans.
Here.
Jim Reed.
Here.
Kathy J. Cox. Ernest Kate.
Here, we have a quorum. Before we take nominations to elect a president pro tem, I do want to recognize one person who's in the room. As you all probably aware, the mayor appointed a new director of community engagement last week, Ron Finley, and I wanted to recognize him at the beginning of the meeting. He's here. Dan, y'all probably all know Ron, but just wanted to make you all aware that he was here. Thank you, Ron. Okay, with that, I
nominate Councilman to my right, the esteemed Councilman Culver for President Pro Tem of the Mayor Pro Tem of this evening.
I think that's a great choice.
Yeah, call the roll.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Culver.
This is something new for me, so everybody bear with me. The next item on the agenda is item 5, which is the comments from the citizens. This will be anything that's not on our agenda tonight. We'll be happy to listen to. Please keep it brief if you wouldn't, and anyone, when you come up, please state your name and address, and we'll listen to anything you have to say. We just won't take action on it tonight. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay. Then with that, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. We've got 2 minutes from February the 13th and February the 27th that we need to approve. So with that, do we need to do them separate, or can we do them together?
I think we can do them together.
So a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as they are.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, the next is procedural motions. What would the council,
A and B. Second.
we have a first and second. Do we have to have a roll vote? Okay.
Overton.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the Planning Commission report. Patsy Christie.
What we have tonight is an ordinance that would amend Section 3.59G of the zoning ordinance, and this is the section that sets up exemptions for the temporary open air for the farmers market. And the request has been made by the Downtown Springdale Alliance and the operator of the Downtown Springdale market that they be allowed to operate on on Meadow Avenue between Commercial Street and the Razorback Greenway, yet to determine which side of the street it's going to be. And they also be allowed to operate at Shiloh Square on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. The Saturday markets would be from 6 until 2, and the Tuesday and Thursday markets will be from 4 to 9. They're going to start out with the Thursday market for sure. We've got some other things working on, and we'll know a little bit more about the Saturday market within the next few weeks, we hope. Planning Commission reviewed this ordinance amendment, held a public hearing. There were no comments, and recommends approval of the ordinance. The title of the ordinance reads, an ordinance amending Article 6, Section 3.5G, 9G of the zoning ordinance of the City of Springdale, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Move the ordinance pass.
We have a first and second, and is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? If not, we'll take roll.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Okay, next is the committee as a whole that we had at our committee meetings, and I don't remember who.
I think I did it.
Councilman
Jeff
Watson
did,
did.
yeah.
Oh,
So this is a resolution,
I'll read it.
sure, okay.
It's found at page 36. The resolution title is, "A Resolution Authorizing Funds from the Capital Improvement Project Fund for Assessment of Fitzgerald Station and Farmstead." That resolution was actually drafted. I don't think we had it at the committee meeting, did we, Ernest?
Right.
But anyway, the contents of that resolution was recommended and forwarded to the council with recommendation for approval.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
do we have to ask for a comment?
Can you talk about, just a little bit about what it?
Yeah, this is, we submitted a grant to the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. The total grant project was $29,153. The amount we're asking you for is 1/3. The grant requires a 2-to-1 match, so $97.18 in city funds. The assessments would be to have an historic preservation architect, Gary Clements, the same one who has done Shiloh Meeting Hall and is doing Rabbit Foot Lodge, come up and assess all the property and all the structures at the Fitzgerald Station property.
Okay. We have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion from the council? Anyone from the audience like to speak to this? Okay, we'll vote.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the street and the CIP committee report, and Rick Evans.
In the meeting last week, street and CIP, I think we have one item on the agenda tonight. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of an engineering service contract for street and drainage improvement to Maple Avenue and other purposes not to exceed $151,375, and it was recommended by the committee for approval. Move the resolution pass.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Got someone like to speak to this?
I thought Mr. Essery was wanting to comment.
Oh, that's okay. I'm happy to answer your question if.
Please
he
state
has
your
one.
name.
Yeah, I will. Stephen Beam with Burns
Thank
and
you.
McDonald. And so appreciate the opportunity to help y'all out with this project. And if you want me to give a description
Yeah,
for the.
why don't we let everybody
Yeah.
out?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And TV knows.
So, for what I understand, the city's plan is to improve Maple from Holcomb to Park. Right now, there's a break in Maple Avenue at the railroad track. The plans are that there will be another crossing, Brad, at what location is being closed? At Meadow will be closed, and then this would be a replacement for that location. So
I have a question. Is there a need, I understand the necessity of closing Meadow, is there a need to open up another crossing at Maple, since we have one there at Cottle? And the distance from Cottle to 412 East is not greater than the distance from Emma to Huntsville Street.
I think the need was more for the fire department than anything else. The fire department probably the best answer.
I understand, but we're talking about 2 blocks difference between Cottle and Maple, and we're still gonna be coming out on Park Street, and Cottle goes to Park Street now. I'm just curious.
I didn't know I was going to get up here tonight, but I know early on when there was some discussion about this, with the closing of Meadow potentially, and then with the amount of events that are being held on Emma Street on any given weekend nights, and so I've been told future plans for other things along through there. By losing an east access to get out toward Emma, out quickly to Butterfield Coach in that general area, we're going to see an increase in response times that direction. We do have plans, obviously, to put another station out around Connier Road, but this would be an offset to essentially, if we're closing Emma and Meadow streets at any given time, and obviously Meadow for permanently, a quick access to get to the park and back over onto Emma Street and back over to those areas and through there.
Yeah, I was just curious because if it's not going further than Park, it's terminating at Park Street, and Cottle does also. So I was just curious that if that 2 blocks makes that much difference. Is there another reason, Patsy?
Well, from a downtown master planning point of view, the opening up of Maple Street allows a connection that would allow on the west side of town where Murphy Park and all that is to have a direct access to Luther George Park too. It allows us to tie those two together, give another location to the parks accesses, to the trail accesses, and it's in the the downtown master plan to provide that as an alternate way across downtown.
I understand, but still it's the same. My argument's the same. It's 2 blocks difference.
It is 2 blocks different.
And if it's for downtown development, that's a different story
Right.
than if we're talking about, I was just a little confused.
I think it allows us a chance to do some revitalization along Maple Street on the east side of the railroad track. I think it opens up a new corridor for development and for revitalization of that too.
It's for development primarily then.
It serves 2 purposes. The railroad does not like to give up an access point. We might be talking about something in the future of consolidating other access points across when you go further onto the south. We've had those discussions in times past, but this provides us a way to help continue revitalization in downtown Springdale.
Then it gets back to the same question, is the juice worth the squeeze? How much is it going to cost to go ahead and open this up versus, if I can understand, again, the rationale for closing Meadow makes perfect sense, but, is the cost worth, so this primarily for future developments, the reason why taxpayers are going to pay for it now?
That's correct. Yeah.
Patsy? You know how we've talked about the trail on Maple by the high school?
Uh-huh.
Is there any thought, how far would the trail go east on Maple?
Well, it could go all the way across the railroad track with this new crossing, tie over into Park Street.
That's my question.
Well, we don't have it all designed yet.
Well,
if I
you're
have
getting ready
anything to
spend
say
a bunch
about
of
that,
money for designing those, so is that going to be part of this design?
I can tell you if I have anything to say about it, it's going to be part of it. Because I think that's a good connection for us too.
Well,
And
don't
then
we need to
even
be
down
making those
Hawkinson.
decisions now, if we're going to be designing that's what this is for, right? It's to design.
It's to hire the design engineer to take all, and I just talked to Stephen a few minutes ago. There's 2 or 3 things that we need to talk about. One of them being trail access. One of them, how do we make the connection to Park Street? Where does it need to be in relation to the trails and the other streets and over there?
That is going to be in the
Right.
discussion.
Right. And I think we need to have some, and we will have a public meeting to get some public input about what they think. How does this need to work, and how do we make those connections? How do we make all the rest of this work too? Right.
while we're designing, if we're going to do it, we need to go ahead and design
I
it.
can tell you, if I have anything to say about it, those things will be part of it, yeah.
Okay.
The design contract was kind of predicated on the plans that the city had prepared, kind of scoping, level plans, and those called for sidewalks. They didn't specifically call for a trail, but for us to have a 10-foot or 12-foot wide trail on the side of that on one side of the road is no different from our perspective than a 6-foot sidewalk from a design standpoint. So if the city determines that you want a trail alongside there, that's what we can include.
Okay, we have a first and second. Is there anyone else? If not, we'll call for the vote.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 6-0.
With that, we'll,
You.
We also have a resolution we added about the long-term plan for the library, and it's a resolution appropriating capital improvement funds for Phase 1 of the Springdale Public Library's long-range strategic plan. It's $175,175. Move the resolution pass.
second. We have a first and second. Any discussion with the council? Anyone from the audience speak? If not, we'll call for the vote.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Carry 6-0.
Okay, with that, we'll move into the Finance Committee report. Jeff Watson.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met last Monday as well and discussed a budget amendment for the animal services in regards to the purchase of a cargo van with money that was donated to the animal shelter by the Pauline Smith Trust. And the resolution was forwarded to the council with a recommendation for approval, and the title of the resolution is a resolution amending the 2018 budget of the City of Springdale Animal Services.
Move the resolution pass.
Second.
Have a first and second. Any discussion? Anyone from the audience like to speak? Okay, call for the vote.
Watson,
Yes?
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Carry 6-0.
We have one other item that falls under that committee, but it looks like Mike Lawson, committee report for the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. We met last week. We've got one item. It's a resolution. It's a resolution authorizing a grant of a conservation easement on the property owned by the City of Springdale, Arkansas, pursuant to Arkansas Conservation Easement Act 15-20-401. It was recommended for approval, I believe, with it being Rabbit's Foot Lodge. It's something that's required for us to do. If Bill's got anything to add, he's certainly here.
Second.
Have a first and second. Any discussion? Audience? With that, we'll call for the vote.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes?
Carry 6-0.
Okay, we have one other item, or committee report, and that was Kathy Jaycock. She's not here. Who would like to take that?
I'll take it if you want me to.
Thank you, Jim.
The first one I'm going to turn over to Melissa.
Hello. So my resolution here is a resolution amending the bylaws for the Springdale Youth Council. And these bylaws, the council's wrapping up. They graduate in April, so this will go into effect for the class that's starting in September.
Move the resolution pass. Second.
First and second, discussion.
Don't think I read that. A resolution amending the bylaws of the Springdale Youth Council Committee recommended approval.
Okay. Anyone from the audience like to speak? Okay, call for the vote.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes?
Overton,
Yes.
Carry 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll let Ernest take the next one. It's a public hearing on petition to close a portion of East Meadow Avenue.
Thank you. We passed a by statute, we passed a resolution back in, I think it might have been the second meeting in January, but we set tonight as a public hearing. The statute requires a public hearing before the council can take action to close a city street or a portion of a city street. And this would be a public hearing on the next item, which is an ordinance which would vacate a portion of East Meadow from the railroad tracks going east. There's a map in your packet that shows how far east. Statute requires all abutting property owners to consent, which has happened. And so if there's anybody here who wants to, we'll hold the public hearing, and then if there's comment, then we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll consider the ordinance.
Jeff?
Thank you. My name's Jeff Wood. I live at 402 West Allen Avenue. And I'm here to speak against the resolution. All I know about this, frankly, is what I read in the paper yesterday. And my understanding is this is being done primarily for safety reasons. Is that correct? Traffic safety?
Well, the property owners have petitioned to close the street, and there's a procedure that the city has to go through before they can consider closing the street. And this is part of the procedure. All the abutting property owners have consented to that portion of Meadow being closed.
Okay. Well, all I read in the paper was that it was a safety issue. That was the explanation that they give, and I don't see where there's a safety problem there. I don't think there's ever been an accident at that intersection. So, Meadow is an extremely heavily used street, primarily by the residents, by the people that live downtown. Now that we have 4 stop signs on Emma Street between Thompson and Park Avenue, the only through street we have is Meadow. And there's only 2 stop signs there, one at the railroad track and one at Holcomb Street. And the street sees a lot of traffic. And I think if you close that street, you're going to inconvenience a lot of the people that live in downtown. And I'm opposed to it. I think we should just leave it open. If there is a safety issue, put in a signal. I'm certainly willing to do that, but I don't understand the need for the closing, and I think it will inconvenience a lot of people. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, is there anyone else? With that, we'll close the public hearing and.
I'd like to comment.
Sure.
Melinda Mason, 106 West Allen Avenue. We've made Emma Avenue, and it is not Emma Street, people. It is Emma Avenue. Emma Avenue we've made really pretty. In places, the sidewalks, the perception for me is that the sidewalks, particularly east side of the railroad tracks, are wider than some of the lanes there. I have barely managed to park in a small SUV, and I'm not a large person, and I can hardly get out of my car if there is traffic coming to go into, say I needed to deliver a check for my husband for Kiwanis at the House of Hope. It is really super, super tight there. And as pretty as it is, with all of the twists and turns on Emma Avenue, you cannot really look at the stuff on both sides that's getting nice because you're so busy skirting and twisting and turning around these medians that are stuck out there. And people, rather than contending with the multiple stop signs and the multiple twists and turns, are utilizing West Meadow and West Grove. And they are driving 40 and 45 on them. I live right off of those, and I see it every day. And there's a police officer rather regularly tucked back in a parking area that belongs to the hospital across from the parking garage. They'd be on the north side of the parking garage and the north side of West Allen. But the traffic issues are on West Grove and West Meadow. And the traffic there has just really, it is streaming down there. And while the multiple stop signs have facilitated me getting out onto Emma or crossing to go out to Huntsville or just turning left to get up onto 71, getting across Meadow and Grove now is getting really exciting. And I don't know what to say about that. But we need some officers to be monitoring the speed there.
So you're not really talking about this closing?
No, but that's part of it because there's so much traffic on it
Well,
now.
if this were closed, it would push traffic back over to Emmett, wouldn't it?
I don't believe so. I think they'll go as far as they can go on West Grove and West Meadow before they have to contend with the twists and turns. Also, if you all have not done so, and you're going to have to wait till later now that it's daylight savings time, you need to come east from 71, come down Emma Avenue, and experience the double stop signs at the old Cisco Clinic and that median deal. It appears that when you're coming down there in the dark till you're right up against it, that there is a street there and 2 lanes. And I'm just waiting for someone to plow over that big median and tear their car all up and hurt themselves. We're going to have to think about some of this and the way it's perceived in the dark at night with all the twists and turns. And I want each one of you, I'm going to ask you to do that in the pitch dark. And it needs to be dark to see what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then with that, we'll close the public hearing, and Ernest will read the ordinance.
It's an ordinance vacating a portion of a dedicated public street known as East Meadow Avenue pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated Section 14-301-301 et sec, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
We have a first and second. Is there any other discussion on this? Anyone, audience? Jeff?
Has the council consulted with the people in the Tyson's building because their access to their parking lot's going to be cut off? by
They're
this
the ones that
closing process?
actually started,
They're in
kind
favor
of
of it?
start, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, with that, we got a first and a second. Call for vote.
Evans? Reed?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 6-0.
Okay.
Do we
emergency
need the
clause.
emergency clause on this? It's got one.
Emergency clause be adopted.
Second.
First and second. Call for the vote.
Reed?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Well, I don't know if it's proper procedurally, but you remember this actually came forward a year or so ago, and we decided to table it until such time as the property owner was ready to bring this forward. So that's why there's an emergency clause on there.
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 6-0.
Okay, thank you all. Is there any comments from department heads? Melissa?
Hello, I just want to remind everybody that Springdale Water Utility is having a public involvement meeting Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at the Arts Center of the Ozarks downtown to discuss a downtown Springdale sanitary sewer improvement project. So anybody who's interested, if you'd like more information, please contact Springdale Water Utility or the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from council members?
I'd like to commend our Mayor Pro Temp on one of the smoothest and,
Did a fantastic job.
yeah. didn't
Thank
it?
y'all.
It was really nice.
Maybe we can make him a regular
Yeah.
whenever
Just a
mayor's
permanent
gone. He's
Mayor
up.
Pro Temp?
Yep.
Not a bad idea.
I was
Thank
gonna, Miss J. Cox and I went to visit with some Cub Scouts and talk to them about city government and stuff, and they sent us a little thank you card. I was gonna show that to them.
That's pretty neat. Does our newest committee head, would you like to say anything to us before we move forward? Might as well get you involved now because you know you're going to be.
You're probably right. No, I'd like to say thank you to the mayor and
to Wyman for giving me the opportunity. I owe Chief Peters, thanks to Chief Peters, Judge Harper. It was a tough decision for me. I like the people that I worked with. It was a very, very difficult decision, but
sure.
it's a great opportunity for me. I'm excited.
We're excited to have you.
I'm ready to jump in. I've got a crash course from Lieutenant Pegram on Saturday, so it started a lot sooner than I anticipated. I promise you that. But I'm ready to go, and I'm going to represent the city well. And if y'all have any issues or concerns, don't hesitate to call me, email me, because I'm going to do what we're going to need to do.
Well, we're glad to have you there.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Comments from City Attorney?
No, sir.
And with that,
So moved.
Second.
with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.